Well, hello and welcome to another edition of Let's Talk Real Estate here on 1040 KGGR, our Facebook page, as well as our YouTube channel. Brother Robert Ashley with you. And of course, with me right now, the one and only Rob Stern of Lenders Residential Mortgage. And once again, we want to thank you for being with us today right here on 1040 KGGR and also on our Facebook page as well as our YouTube channel. And of course, get your phones and pick up that phone and give us a call if you have a question about the American dream of home ownership. We want to talk to you today about trying to help you save some money when it comes down to your home refinancing. Those of you who are living in apartments. Now, one thing we want you to do for those of you living in apartments, now before you sign that lease, give us a call today and compare what you're paying in rent compared to what you could be paying in terms of a mortgage, because many of you are paying rent, which could actually be a mortgage payment. You could actually be in your own home, but you're still stuck there in that apartment. But let's welcome the one and only Rob Stern of Lenders Residential Mortgage. Rob, I want to say a good Friday to you. God bless you, sir. How are you today, Rob?
Doing very well today, Robert. Thank you. Thank you so much for asking. I hope things are going good for you.
Oh, we're blessed and highly favored, Rob. And we're just convinced that we just have to make the best of any given situation. No weapon formed against the shall prosper, Rob, and we're going to continue to move forward.
I'm going to have to start dressing up more, Robert. I'm going to have to keep up with you, buddy.
Well, see, Rob, we're on television now. And, you know, I started my career in journalism actually as a television news reporter. And now that we have the internet, Facebook, and YouTube, we just got to get that presidential journalistic look back. So next time, put on the tie or something, Rob. You're looking good, man. But look, you know, as we were telling our 1040 KGGR listeners, we want to compare today, Rob, what people are paying in terms of rent, because that rent could very well be a mortgage payment. But I don't think people really realize that, Rob. And when I began to look back, when I was in an apartment, I said, wait just a minute here. This money I'm paying in this apartment, I could actually be owning a home. So Rob, bring us up to speed on what's going on in the industry.
Sure, Robert. You know, right now we are seeing interest rates consistently vacillate a little bit up and down, but for the most part, we're seeing rates still in the high 2s to the mid 3s. Obviously, interest rates are driven by credit score. And what we really want our listeners to understand is that a credit score is not necessarily prohibitive when it comes to purchasing a home or refinancing your home. You know, FHA allows us to go all the way down to a 500 credit score, whether you're purchasing or refinancing a home on a VA loan or a veteran. We have no minimum credit score criteria because the VA will guarantee a loan regardless of the minimum credit score. So, you know, so clearly interest rates do vacillate to an extent. Again, I think probably the bigger issue we have right now is what's happening in the market overall. You know, we've seen the stock market go up and it goes down, then it goes back up, then it goes back down. Now, again, I'm old enough to where I remember when the stock market was at 4,000. And you're right. And now we've got now the stock market is at 20,000, whatever. So a 300 point drop today is clearly not the same as it was 20 years ago. But still, the market is going up and down, and that's because our economy is still in a little bit of an uncertain position right now. And until the economy flattens out one way or another, we're not going to see rates literally stabilize. But with that said, obviously our legislators reached a temporary increase in the debt ceiling, so that was positive. Although that's going to be coming up again, I believe, here in another 30 to 60 days.
Yes.
You know, we also have the Federal Reserve that has been talking about tapering on the purchasing of mortgage-backed securities. I believe roughly $80 billion a month. So all these things impact interest rates to an extent. There's never been a better time to refinance your home. Certainly not in the foreseeable future. There won't be. There's never been a better time to purchase a home if you're wasting money on rent right now. As you indicated before, we'd love to have our listeners call in and tell us what they're paying in rent, and perhaps help them understand the difference between what it costs in rent, not only from a payment perspective, but what you're losing in taxable benefits. And there's a tremendous disparity there. Obviously, there's a reason why people make a business out of renting homes or renting apartments as landlords. And you don't need to be paying somebody else's debt off. You should be paying your own debt and taking advantage of the financial benefit.
Yes, indeed. And Rob, as I think about the people who are living in the Highland Hills apartment, that apartment complex that blew up, they have been constantly in the news this week. The city of Dallas is paying for their rent in a hotel. We understand that people have been over there breaking into those apartments, stealing their TVs, game sets, and even somebody touched and set an SUV on fire over there.
Wow.
But if you had a home, you have more of a permanent stability there, whereas apartments, it's every 6 weeks or whenever the lease runs out. But the benefits of owning a home, Rob, compared to leasing an apartment.
Sure, Robert. And the benefits are, first off, we can talk about the aesthetic benefit of home ownership, the emotional benefit of owning a home. Obviously, as a homeowner, you have a place that is your own, quite literally. If you want to paint your house hot pink, you have the ability to do that. If you want to knock down a wall, you can do that. If you want to plant a garden in the backyard and tear up all the grass to do it, you have the ability to do that. So an apartment will never be a home. An apartment will be no more than shelter, and that's all it will be. Mm-hmm. Now, but from a pragmatic perspective, being a homeowner gives you the ability to write a significant amount off on your taxes at the end of the year. So from an income tax perspective, owning your own home could literally get you back thousands and thousands of dollars at the end of the year. And I think that's probably the bigger point to stress here. As a homeowner, you can deduct all of your property taxes up to $10,000 a year, which would be the equivalent of about a $400,000 house, perhaps. As a property owner, you can also deduct all of your mortgage interest that you pay, which could be literally $12,000, $15,000 a year. When you take all those numbers and you add them up, perhaps you have $20,000 in deductions over the course of your year of your filing. That can move your tax bracket overall. It can also result in a taxable benefit or perhaps a refund to you, maybe $5,000, $6,000. It depends. But I remember as a young man, I always had friends say to me things like, well, you have to be a homeowner in order to fully take advantage of the benefits that the IRS allows you on your taxes. Yes. And I never really understood that until I bought my first home. And obviously over the years in this industry, it's become more and more apparent. I can see no good reason for anybody, specifically a veteran, to not own their own home. We've made it so easy for them. Just give us a call at Lenders Residential Mortgage, 972-739-2350. That's 972-739-2350. Or find me on the internet as lenderstexas.com. That's spelled out lenderstexas.com.
All right. And once again, we're talking here with Rob Stern of Lenders Residential Mortgage. And of course, we're talking Let's Talk Real Estate here on 1040 KGGR. We're also on Facebook Live as well as YouTube. And of course, our phone lines are open right now at 972-980-1040. That's 972-980-1040. Now, what we'd like to do, take, for example, if you're paying $1,700 in rent, maybe you're probably paying $1,000 in rent. Rob can tell you exactly perhaps what type of home you could own. Whether you could own a $100,000 home, $150,000, $180,000 home, based upon the amount of rent that you're paying. Right, our phone lines are open right now at 972-988-1040. We're not trying to be too nosy, but we're trying to help you save some money. 972-988-1040. Let us know right now, how much are you paying in rent? And we want to just say, well, hey, you could actually have this amount of home based upon the amount of rent that you're paying. And also, here's another thing, Rob, as we looked at the news this week, Rob, everything seems to be going up. The price of gasoline, the price of food. We got a shipping docks in Los Angeles. We can't even unload stuff, and stores are going to be Vacant shelves are going to be breaking.
Right, right.
The thing, we don't know exactly what type of Christmas we're going to have. So if you were to get into a home with the interest rates being as low as they are now, aren't you saving money, Rob?
Well, absolutely, Robert. I think right now the right thing to do is to get into a home. I think right now and we've heard this from so many of our listeners. Right now, a big part of what's going on, Robert, is that apartment rents are going up too. So just like the cost of housing increases, so do the apartment rents, so do the condominium rents, the rental houses that you're living in, and that's only going to continue to get worse. It's going to be more exacerbated as the market continues to rise and as interest rates continue to go up. Right now we have another up market. The Dow Jones is up almost 400 points. The Nasdaq's up 70 points. Again, yesterday we had kind of a similar thing happening. That's good. That shows how resilient we are as Americans. That's a positive thing for us. However, at some juncture, it's going to lead to increased interest rates, and we just can't stress enough how important it is for people to give us a call. Take that first step. Let's create an action plan for success. I've helped so many listeners, KGGR listeners, KHVN listeners, take equity out of their home, perhaps to eliminate these high credit or high interest rate consumer credit cards. Pay off automobiles, what have you. This is just the right time to re-examine your financial strength, your financial position as a consumer, and obviously we need our listeners, or we would like our listeners to acknowledge their responsibility to their family and obviously to themselves to give us a call and get the process started.
All right. And you can call us right now at 972-988-1040. That's 972-988-1040. Just trying to help you save some money, because we're all going to have a place to live. You're going to have a place to lay your head. And when that apartment, that rental agreement ends, boy, they're going to jack that price up. Whereas you can hold the price down in terms of home ownership. And Rob, that's another good thing about home ownership. When you're in a fixed mortgage, you pay that same amount for how long? As long as the mortgage agreement?
Sure. Well, you're going to pay if you're in a fixed 30-year loan, you're going to pay the same principal and interest for 30 years. It will not change. You sign a contract, and that principal and interest doesn't change for the duration of the mortgage loan. And you're absolutely right. As a matter of fact, I had a young lady call a few weeks ago and tell me that her rent went up $400 per month.
Oh boy.
$400 a month. And consequently, we're in the process of closing on her mortgage loan. She's buying a home.
Yes.
But and I can't blame the people that own these apartments and these houses for going up. They're in business to make a profit. That's their job. But I do blame the consumer, the people that we're talking to in this broadcast, for not reaching out and getting the process started. Again, it's not really about credit. The credit can be fixed, things can move forward, but you have to start somewhere. You have to know what you can afford and where your comfort level sits as far as buying a home. And that's really the bigger problem. I speak to people so often, Robert, 60 years old, 70 years old,
yes,
buying their first home.
Wow.
And when I ask them why they're buying their first home, they say, there's no good reason. I just always thought it was too much trouble to get started. And it's not a lot of trouble. Let's go over the items that we're going to look at as a lender. Okay. I'm going to want to see 1 month's worth of paycheck stubs, 2 years of W-2s and tax returns, most recent bank statements, and of course your credit. Those items will couple together to create what's called your debt to income ratio. And that debt to income ratio is going to tell us what you can afford to buy. Now, remember, as far as having money for your down payment or your closing costs, right, we have assistance programs starting out at a 600 credit score. So there's really no good excuse not to take that first step, but you got to start somewhere. You have to give us a call.
And let's give your phone number out, Rob.
Thank you, Robert. My telephone number again is 972-739-2350. That's 972-739-2350. 2350. You can also find me on the internet. Just go to lenderstexas.com, spelled out lenderstexas.com, or you can find me on Facebook as the Lenders Residential Mortgage Team and send me a message, what have you. Just give us a call and let's get the process started.
All right. And once again, if you'd like to speak with Rob right now, our phone lines are still open here at 1040 KGGR. That's 972-988-1040. That's our number to call. Once again, talking with Rob Stern of Lenders Residential Mortgage. Let's talk real estate. And that's something you need to get your hands on, some real estate. Everybody in your family needs to be able to get their hands on some real estate. Now, Rob, also, let's go back to credit scores and qualifying for a home, because I sense a lot of people who are living in apartments, they'll say, okay, I'm already settled in this apartment. It's an upheaval. It's a transition that I'm going to have to make. But Rob, credit scores and making that transition, because it seemed like it might be a lot to make the transition, but once you make that transition, it seems like you might be set for life.
Well, and I love that expression, "set for life." You're absolutely right. I think making the transition is. It's just a transition. It's not an upheaval. It's just a change. It's a change in scenery, a change in. It's literally going to be a change to the positive when it comes to your living conditions. You'll be sleeping in your own bedroom that you actually own every night. You'll be watching television in your own den or your own game room. Upheaval, yes, you're going to have to move. But again, so many people living in apartments move, Robert, from one lease to another lease anyway, because they live in apartment A and the owner jacks the lease up, so they go to apartment B and they stay there maybe for a year or 2 years until the owner jacks that lease up, and then they go to another apartment. So actually moving into a home is an opportunity to stop all the upheaval. It's an opportunity to make one move once and for all, and you're done. You're there for the rest of your life, as you indicated. I can't even begin to stress the benefits of home ownership and the opportunities that home ownership provides to a consumer. You just have to get started.
Beautiful. And also for a lot of parents out there, with the COVID-19, the mask mandates, all the controversies that have been going on in school, when you buy yourself a home, you can move into whatever school district you want to live in, whatever your money can afford. You can move wherever you want to go, and your kids can go to whatever school.
Well, that's true. And Robert, and when you move into a better school district, you're getting the kids not only a better education, but again, the children coming home from school, they ride the bus home from school, they walk to their home. They don't have to walk through an apartment complex where they have people that they don't know hanging around, maybe standing on the side of the street smoking cigarettes or just gossiping or doing what have you. It's just so much safer living in your own home. I can't even begin to describe the benefits to someone who has a family of home ownership. It's irreplaceable.
One other quick question, Rob, about the encouraging people to buy homes. Now, take, for example, if you're paying $1,500 a month for rent, if you're paying maybe $1,700 a month for rent, what type of home could you actually afford paying $1,500 to $1,700 a month?
If you're paying that kind of money, you could buy yourself a home for probably $200,000 to $250,000.
Wow,
that's a nice house.
Wow.
That's a very nice house. And more importantly, or even most importantly, Robert, the market is starting to soften up a little bit with availability of houses. There are houses out there in these lower price ranges now that have become available. We're starting to see the market shift. We're starting to see more availability, and because of that, in these lower priced houses, there are homes available. But you got to start. You begin by getting pre-approved, begin by getting your mortgage loan structured so that you can afford to buy a home. When you find the right home, then go out and start looking for a home with a good realtor.
Rob, let's go to a caller here. We have Pearlie, who is on the line with us here today. And once again, we're live here on 1040 Facebook, YouTube, talking with Rob Stern. Let's talk real estate here. We're trying to save you some money. Get out of those expensive apartments. Buy yourself a home. And Pearlie, we want to thank you for listening, Pearlie. And you're on with Rob Stern. Go right ahead there, Pearlie.
Hi, my name is Pearlie, and I just recently, maybe a month or so, contacted Rob because he was on the radio, and I heard him, and I said, I have tried to refinance my house several times, and it had not come through. And so I was listening because I had been praying, and I heard him, and I said, Gail, call him. So I did. And once I called him, he started the process. We started moving. Everything started changing, and I've closed on my refinance. I am so happy with the work that he did for me. I pray for him every day because I am not a business person. I am a nurse. I am not a business person. So to deal with this was kind of hard for me, but it was very easy with him because even though I probably don't have, my house was not that much, and my refinancing was different. He's probably got clients that have so much more in their homes than I did. He still made me feel like I was the most important person he was speaking to whenever he spoke to me. And I'm so grateful for that. He never put me off. He always answered my call, and he answered my call on his own phone. And I'm grateful for that. He did a fantastic job. So if there's anybody out there that needs somebody to help them either buy a home or refinance a home, call Rob. He will take you step by step by step, and you will get to the end, and you'll be a happy person because of it.
Thank you, Pearlie. Wow. I mean, that literally brings tears of joy to my eyes. Thank you so much, Pearlie. You are so kind. So kind, and what a privilege to work with you. So thank you so much for your call. And again, you're right. Honey, I take a lot of pride in what I do, and I love the people that I get to meet, and it was a blessing getting to know you.
Beautiful.
Well, thank you so much. You all have a blessed day.
And you do the same, Pearlie, and we
Pearlie.
thank you. And being a nurse out there on the front line, we certainly plead the blood of Jesus, and we thank you, Pearlie, for that call. What a testimony there, Rob.
Absolutely. No, and I'll be honest with you, she was a perfect borrower. And when I say a perfect borrower, I'm not talking about her credit or her income, but she was willing to work with us. And she supplied us with the information that we needed when we asked for it. And, no matter how you stack it, Robert, a mortgage loan is still going to be driven by the consumer in almost every sense of the word. If we have a consumer that is willing to give us the appropriate documentation, willing to spend the time providing the items that we need, the process is very quick. It's not invasive. It's not difficult, but you got to start somewhere. And that's the whole point. And that's what we've been trying to get the community at large, everybody that we've been speaking to on a weekly basis for all these years. This is what we've been trying to get people to understand. You have to start somewhere. You have to make a decision to begin the process. And again, God bless Pearlie and her family. That's what we're all about. Those types of calls. I want to hear them from every single customer out there. And fortunately, we've been together a long time. I get a lot of calls like that. But it's great for our listeners to be able to hear happiness in somebody's voice. And Pearlie is just a sweet, sweet, sweet lady. So,
Rob, let's give you a phone number. I got one more question for you. Another quick question, but what's your phone number?
Thank you, Robert. My telephone number is 972-739-2350. That's 972-739-2350. You can also find me on the internet. Just go to Lenders Texas. That is LendersTexas.com.
All right. And Rob, speaking of saving our 1040 listeners some money in terms of refinancing, with the interest rates being as low as they are, that's another way to save money, isn't it, Rob?
Oh, yeah. No doubt, Robert. I mean, I have people, actually, I'm in the middle of working with somebody right now that's at a 9% interest rate, 9%. We're going down to a 2.875% interest rate, and they're taking equity out of their home to eliminate bills. So again, it's all very relative to the transaction, to somebody's credit, to their capacity. But we have to go back to the original conversation, and that is, if you don't act, if you don't ask, if you don't give us a call, right, we can't help you. And you need to give us a shout, certainly sooner rather than later, so we can begin the process of working together, whether it's a matter of refinancing to take equity out of the home or just lower the mortgage payment, or your interest is purchasing a home, purchasing your first home, purchasing your last home. I work with a lot of first-time home buyers. But again, no matter how you stack it, the first step is to give us a call. And that's where it all begins.
Right. Now, Rob, another quick question before we run out of time. Now, take, for example, we have those who are listening to us right now. They're in that situation, in that apartment. The rent agreement is going to expire. Do you have to have a down payment? Do you have to have money saved in order to start that process, or can they just come to you, period?
No, you don't have to have money saved to begin the process of approval towards a home ownership. I think that it actually behooves everybody to give me a call and let me look at their credit and tell them exactly what they can accomplish and how best to get there. There are down payment and closing cost assistance programs that make it very, very easy and very affordable for an individual to buy a home. Again, I'm going to go back to our veterans. Veterans have no down payment, so their cost of entry is even less. But you've got to start somewhere. It doesn't matter who you are, where you live, what you do. I had a young lady call me last night and she said, I don't make very much money, but I really want to buy a house. Can you help me? It's not about how much money you make always. It's about how you've handled your credit. You've got to begin the process and give us a call today. That's where it all starts.
Okay, well, Rob, we got about less than, let's see, I think we got less than 45 seconds. Just give us a concluding thought, a phone number. And once again, Rob, we thank you for working with people like that nurse Pearlie. My goodness.
Well, and my final thought is God bless all our listeners. I can't even begin to tell you how much I enjoy the audience that we work with. The community that I serve is unparalleled. My telephone number is 972-739-2350. That's 972-739-2350. You can also find me on the internet at lenderstexas.com. That is LENDERSTEXAS.com. Or find me on Facebook as the Lenders Residential Mortgage Team.
All right. Well, once again, everybody, we've been talking here, another edition of Let's Talk Real Estate with the one and only Rob Stern of Lenders Residential Mortgage and Mortgage Solutions. We encourage you to follow up because things are going up and we're trying to save you some money right here on 1040. And Rob, we'll look forward to talking to you next Friday. Want you to have a blessed weekend. And of course, want to thank all of our 1040 listeners and of course, Facebook and YouTube. We thank all of you. I'm Robert Ashley. We'll see you and have a blessed day.
God bless you, Robert. Take care, buddy.
KGGR invites you to tune in at 1 p.m. on Fridays for our weekly